something not quite right here. I'll show you how to fix it. This is something I see almost daily, really, at least one a week. So there's been an issue with the derailleur, either it's been bent in use, been dropped, adjustment screws have been played with, they're incorrect. Change gear up to the biggest sprocket and then it overshifts and goes into the spokes and just rips it off to pieces. So first thing, obviously, we've got to get this broken one off, check this hanger, and we'll split the chain as well. Take the cable off and fit a new one. Dead easy. So on this one, it's twisted the chain as well. You can see that there, and then it twists through an angle there. So obviously we need to replace this chain as well, because that's certainly not going to work. So we can just split this chain anywhere if we can't find the split link. Not all chains have a split link, but a lot of them do nowadays. So let's have a quick look if we can find one. There is no link on this one, so we'll have to use a chain tool. Don't need a big fancy posh part one like this, but any basic chain tool will split the pin. Just push the pin out. Keep the old chain there because we want to check the length of it against the new one. So there's the first bit of the derailleur off. Pin. That's the chain off. So that's the first bit. Next we need to get the remains of the derailleur off. So undo this cable bolt. This is what holds the cable in here. It's 5mm Allen key normally. Just undo that. Shouldn't be very tight. I've got an end cap on there. If you give it a really good yank, it'll just pull straight off like that. Then we can get the remains of this derailleur off. Just undo this one here. Again, it's 5mm Allen key. Right, so that's the remains of it off. Quite often you'll see a big scratch mark here where the bike's obviously been dropped or crashed over the years, and what happens is it gradually bends it in very slightly, and eventually the other half of the cage, which would normally sit sort of parallel like this, the whole thing ends up like this, and the bottom end of the derailleur is then touching the spokes, and that's what causes it. It just catches the bottom of the spokes and rips it into the wheel. Okay, so that's the old one off. Customers actually supplied me with a second-hand one, which I wouldn't normally use, but all in the name of recycling. Let's see if we can get this one to work. It should be fine. But first we need to check the alignment of this hanger. So this hanger you can see here is very clearly bent. It should be hanging down pretty much parallel to these sprockets here, like that. So in the accident, or when it's ripped into the spokes, it's bent this derailleur hanger. So that's its job in life anyway. It is designed to bend or snap to protect the frame. What you don't want to do is bend the frame, because then you've basically written the bike off. So these are sacrificial sort of parts that are designed to fail in just such an incident. So it's done its job. Unfortunately, it's took the derailleur with it on this one. Sometimes, quite often, you'll get away with not the derailleur and just the hanger. And this one, we're probably going to have to change the hanger as well. But let's have a look, see if we can straighten it first. So this tool is a derailleur hanger alignment gauge tool, basically, a DAG. So it screws into where the derailleur was here. And then we check for basically how straight it is against the top of the wheel and the bottom of the wheel, and that tells you when it's parallel basically with the sprocket. So first job is to screw this in. This is where this repair kind of gets potentially uneconomically viable really for the home sort of DIY people, because if you need to start spending £30–40 on tools to do the job, just take it to a bike shop. But if you want to have a go and you've got tools, or maybe you've got a lot of bikes and you want to invest in some more tools, then this is for sure one you would want to get hold of. So the thread on this is slightly damaged. I don't know if you noticed when I took the derailleur off, but the bolt was very loose. So I think it's been riding around with that bolt loose and has also damaged this thread slightly. So we might be struggling with this one. Oh, there we go. Got it in. So screw that in flush. Oh my God, it's so bad. Yeah. I don't think this is going to straighten particularly well, but you can see how bad that is. So basically, you're literally just bending it like this. There you go. And that already looks significantly better. So now we can use the tool. Push this in until it hits the top of the wheel. And this O-ring will then stop on here. Pull that out. Just leave the O-ring exactly where it is and drop this down to the bottom of the wheel. At the bottom, so push it again until it hits the wheel. And what you're looking for is this O-ring to touch the tool. So basically you're about 10mm away from there at the moment, which says we're not quite in alignment. So we need a bit more of a gap at the bottom. So again, we're just going to pull this out. Just grab hold of it and give it a gentle pull. That's bent. So this is what happens. So that's basically just ripped it off. Like I say, some you'll get sort of one chance to straighten these out. Others, this happens, it'll just rip it off. Like I say, it is designed to break, so it's not the end of the world. We just need to get a new one. So the first thing you need to do now is take the wheel out, obviously. Well, not obvious, but you need to take the wheel out. Now we need to just remove the rest of this hanger. So there's one torque screw on this one holding the back. T25 on this one. They're all different though, so just whatever's on your bike. Sometimes there's one 5mm Allen key, sometimes there's a couple of 3mm. This one's a Torx. So just remove that and the screw. So take it off, and this is what you'll end up with, 2 broken pieces on this one. You can see where they obviously join up, and this gives you the shape of the replacement one that you're looking for. Unfortunately, in the cycling industry's wisdom, there's nearly 400 different types of these. So what you need to do is search by your frame manufacturer, Scott on this in this particular case. So just do a Google search for Scott derailleur hanger, and you'll see several different types. Basically what you do is looking for one that looks the same. Let's have a look. I might have some in stock. I have a few. So I'm just looking for something that's similar at the moment, and then we'll get a closer comparison. So we're looking for one with one bolt on the back, basically, straight down, curved section here. Obviously they've all got this piece here. So just look for something similar first. So obviously it's not this one. Process of elimination, not this one. I'll keep going. So I'm going to order one of these and we'll come back to it. So it's a couple of days later and we've got the new hanger in stock. So let's get this fitted. I'm just going to clean up the area where we're working. So the bike's not in for full service, it's literally just in for a repair on this area and to get it running again, basically. Problem is, once I start cleaning it, I can't stop. I'm going to end up cleaning half the bike, and then I'll have to clean the rest of the bike because it looks stupid. Anyway, let me get on with this. So let's drop the new hanger on. So it comes with a new screw normally as well, so we've got some Loctite already on it, so we'll just screw that in. And so even on this one bike there was several different options for this. You just got to be really careful with the drawing, take some really good pictures of what's left of the old one and just compare it against the internet drawings are really good. Yeah, but just make sure you're looking very carefully at all the angles, both back and the front of it. Right, that's on. So we're offering a used derailleur. It might not work, so the customer might have to pay for a new one anyway, but it's worth a try. It should be okay, to be fair. Screw this in, there's a little stop on the back, I'll show you. So when you screw this in, you've got to be really careful with this screw on this stop here. I'll take it back out again. You've got to be careful with this screw. What you don't want to do is start tightening this up when it needs to sit over this tab first. You need to pull the derailleur back so it's out of the way and then tighten it up. Once it gets going, you can let it go and it will rest against it. Otherwise, this is, okay, it's only aluminium, so if you screw this in without doing that, you'll damage the aluminium on the new hanger. Okay, already looking a bit healthier. I'm going to put the wheel back in there. Okay, that's the wheel in. So because this derailleur's been on a different bike before, we need to make sure that these limit screws are correct for this cassette. So what we're looking for with no chain and no cable on, the derailleur will sit in its natural sort of low position. So we want the jockey wheel here to line up with the last sprocket here. So that's perfect. Then we'll just pull the derailleur over as far as it will go the other way and check how that lines up. Bit of a bad camera angle here, but you can get the idea. So that's going to go too far, so we need to adjust the L screw. L is for low gear. So screw that in until it lines up perfectly. There. That's it. That's all the only time you ever need to touch these 2 screws. Okay, so they're set now. I'll say the only time you ever need to set the high and low screw is when you're fitting a new derailleur. If your bike's been sort of set up properly from the factory and they used to work, and all of a sudden your gears are not working, it's not because of these 2 screws. Absolutely not. These never ever need moving. If they're not working and it's going into the spokes, this is bent. Well, we're going to try and get this cable back through here now. It's just about holding itself together. Yeah, that'll be okay. Then it's just going to tuck behind here. Make sure your gear lever is in the lowest gear, so gear 8 on this one. Pull the cable slightly while you're clicking the lever. So that's in 8 on the gear lever there, and obviously 8 here. So just nip that cable up. Just goes in this pinch bowl here. Just try and pull a little bit of tension through like this while you're doing it. Not too much, that's it. And just give that a quick, it needs to be crazy tight. Once I say, you really need to fit a cable end on this cable, otherwise it's going to fray to pieces. If you've got one, use you can use some side cutters, just 2 little clips in here, but if you've got the proper tool, it just squeezes it on. And that's it, done. Just to get a rough idea of cable tension now that we've set, we can, without putting the chain on still, we'll click the gear lever forward 1 gear, and that's moved quite a good amount. I'm pretty confident that's going to shift without any more adjustments, but we have the barrel adjuster here if we need it. That's looking good. So let's get a new chain on. I just use Sunrace chains for anything sort of 6, 7, 8 gears. Work perfectly well. Okay, so that's the new chain on there. Just make sure it's the, I've just shortened this, sorry I didn't record it, but I've set it to the correct length. Use this little tool to hold it together, just gives you a bit of slack while you're working with the chain there. So on these chains there's a pin that's sort of semi-in. You just clip the ends together and then push it through with your chain tool again. A lot of chains these days have quick links that you just click together, but on these Sunrace they don't. So you just push this pin through slowly. It's not slowly, but when you get to the end, do it slowly. You want it so it's almost in, tiny bit sticking out like this. Back that out. You might find that's a stiff link now, so that's stiff. You can see it's micromillimeters further out than this one here, really. That's not even a word, is it? But then what we do is you use this second set of plates on your chain tool, push it in an extra tiny bit, and that just stops that stiff link. There you go, that's it. Done. And you can take this off. Okay, so that's pretty much back together now. We're just going to go through the gears. We're going to put it on the larger ring at the front. This really needs some adjustment on the front. We'll do that. And then click one gear. There we go. Not quite happy. Still trying to shift back down, so we need a little bit more cable tension until that noise stops. Ignore that other noise, that's the front. So that's gone up to that gear. Click back down, and then back up. Not quite making it to the top, so we need to give it a little bit more limit. So on that low screw that I screwed in, need to unscrew it sort of half a turn. Yeah. Tiny, just half a turn is all you need on these. Go too far, it's going to go into the spokes. That's happy now with half a turn. That's fine. Working lovely, that's to be fair. Right, we're going to go to big. Would have been now. Big, we've still got capacity on the chain. Back down to small. And we're not touching the derailleur here. You shouldn't be in these gears anyway, but the system should be able to handle it. Otherwise your derailleur is literally going to explode. The clicking noise you could hear is the cable clicking on the crank there. See, it's been doing it for some time. It's worn the paint. Just bend it out of the way. I'll never do it again. This derailleur is pretty badly adjusted. That should be parallel here with this. Obviously it's going at a pretty major angle, so we'll just straighten this up. It's not in for a service, but I can't leave it like that. That's hopeless. So just undo your screw slightly. Don't do it all the way, it's just enough so you can start to move this derailleur. And you should be able to just push this around. There we go. And it's parallel now. It's going to try these front gears. Up down to that one. Well, small, so you'd expect some noise there, so got the cassette at the back. Tricky with a tripod in the way. Right, so that's rubbing on that limit screw. The problem is this has been set on the factory like that, and they've adjusted the limit screws to compensate for that rather than just straightening the derailleur, so we just need to give it a little bit more travel. So we're going to undo the low screw on this one, which on this one is here. Make sure you check the marking. This is H and L. Don't automatically assume it's that side because they rarely are. I'm just going to unscrew that a little bit. You'll see this derailleur move down. That's enough. You're allowed sort of 0.5 to 0 gap here, so it's technically it's okay if it does rub very slightly. We'll try and give it a tiny gap. So that's cleared that in first. Go up to the top. That's up. And back down at the bottom. And that's okay as well. Tiny rub again. Again, that screw needs a smidge out. This is the high screw this time. We want it to come over this way. Tiny bit, so we're unscrewing this microscopic amount. Quarter of a turn, that's all it needs. Back down, back up, perfect. I'm also going to get rid of this stupid sticker. Whoever assembled this bike was having a lazy day, so this sticker shouldn't be on there. When it gets assembled on the factory, this is purely for them to quickly set the height of the front derailleur against the chainring. So 1 to 3 millimeters. And once you set that, take the sticker off and just leave it on for the next 10 years like this one. So that's aligned now, the set screws are correct. It's parallel, it's shifting nice, and the back's perfect. Pretty straightforward repair normally. With a new hanger, it's certainly very straightforward, normally new derailleur. If you get a new derailleur, the limit screws, etc. are the same adjustments that you need to make. We've used a used one here and it's worked out fine, to be fair, so save the customer a few pounds. Normally you don't need the new hanger, you'll get sort of one adjustment on your old one, bend it in slightly, but you could see on this one it just sheared straight off. It's a pretty catastrophic failure, so it did actually crack the derailleur hanger on this one. Bit of setup on the gears, front and back. They didn't need the front. The front wasn't part of this repair, but obviously I say I can't send it out the door looking like that. That's ridiculous. So now everything's working as it should, and goes back to the customer. So I'll probably do a few more of these on different scenarios, because they are, every bike is different. Unfortunately, there's, like I say, there's nearly 400 different types of hangers. It's absolutely ridiculous. But the principle, generally speaking, is the same on all of them. So stay tuned for more tips like this, and obviously my full service videos, a few comparison videos. So if you enjoyed this video, click subscribe. It really helps the channel out, and appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.